Welcome to Something to Marvel About, a podcast where we discuss and dissect the week's MCU releases. My name's English Dave, and help me ask questions, but not those questions, is my co-host Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, David?
All the questions had to be asked, some answers that we didn't ask in this full episode titled Death's Hand in Mind. Did I mention we're talking about Agatha all along, episode 7? Well, if you didn't know, you should know.
I was wondering.
You clicked episode Agatha podcast episode 7. So you should know by now. The synopsis is as follows. Those remaining suffer the hand they are dealt in the next trial. Dun, dun, dun. Andrew, without spoilers, tell people why this is the best trial of this show so far.
Yeah, my best episode so far. Simple and short. There it is, spoiler free. I think other than the Billy reveal, which was a wow moment a couple of episodes ago, this overall, all things encompassed, was definitely the best episode of the season so far. Best trial. Some plot points from the past have been addressed. We know a lot more about the overarching stories. Even the way the episode was shot, right? The way they sliced together, because we see some future, past, and present. But it was just so good, right? And I feel just very real in pushing the story forward. And I guess a great penultimate episode, right? Because next week is a double feature finale, which is going to be great. So yeah, I feel like I think for me this overall was my favorite episode of the season, just for the trial itself, for what it means for the story at large, right? And just some of the interaction between characters, and just the finale as well. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, no, I think this episode, we talk about sticking the landing, right, for a TV show in terms of how is it going to end. And I think even though this is not a final episode, this episode is a great example of sticking a landing, because we do get a lot of revelations, breadcrumbs that were spread throughout the previous episodes, little moments that we caught some of them, but then we didn't catch others. And we didn't, at the very least, we didn't see the connections. We caught that was something. We just didn't see it. And then this time we get all the connections, and it's just like, whoa. And I can't imagine how they wrote this episode, because you have to do so much backtracking.
It's been hectic.
Sure. Everything connects with each other, but it connects so well that you go back and watch the previous episodes, you're gonna be like, oh, okay. Because there's some webs that we thought link 2 episodes, but you don't realize that those threads are like 4 episodes deep,
long, or even like more episodes than this show somehow, right? like it goes way back.
Right, and I thought that's brilliantly done. Like I mentioned, in terms of trials, I think this is the best trial in terms of the character who's getting the trial, the emotional journey, and then like the ending and the payoff. Everything I think just worked so well, perfectly well, like brilliantly done, and it just gets me excited for what's to come. But I'm excited to talk about it.
And nervous.
Right. And nervous. And nervous indeed. And you know what? Episode was funny too. There was lots of moments with character, just funny moments where like that's so silly. Or just legit just legit like hilarious moments. I really enjoyed that. I was a bit disappointed in some, without spoiling, the payoff of some stuff was a bit disappointing. I think it was anticlimactic. I'll get into the details in the spoiler section, but nothing enough to bring it down. I think, we've talked about the pacing of this show. Yeah. And I think we can confirm now that the second half is definitely stronger than the first half, for sure.
Significantly.
Like so much stronger that I could, to the point where I can understand why some people may have fallen off. But then at the same time, I say you should stay on.
You have to, yeah. Which almost makes me wish, my boy.
Right? Which almost makes me wish this was a binge, because I think those who haven't watched it, when the show ends and I tell people to binge it, I think people will enjoy it a lot more as just one, because you get to the answers and the payoff makes much more sense. You're not waiting 7 weeks to get to the payoff.
Yeah.
But Andrew, let's get into spoilers. Um,
Spoilers.
this is a Lilia centric episode, and throughout this season, we've had moments where, oh my God, Lilia's being weird again. We've had this a lot of those moments of her being weird. Some of them we've caught, some of them we thought made sense, some of them didn't make any sense, some of them were random. But this episode brings them all together in such a
Yep.
great fashion. It's almost they play with time travel rules, the X-Men Days of Future Past rules, where your body
Hmm.
isn't sent through time, your mind is sent through
But your
time.
mind is, yeah.
What did you think of this revelation of Lilia jumping through time and her experiences in this episode?
Yeah, man. For a fantasy IP, I think it was that concept itself more or less 10 out of 10. Like
Hmm.
I enjoyed it. It kind of made sense, like the breadcrumbs. Even I think what did me the most was was she saying, Alice, don't don't save Agatha.
That's the thing.
But
She was
then
like, Alice,
it
don't
got sliced. Don't
save
save
Agatha.
Agatha, but it got sliced through time, right? And it
Yeah.
came out as save Agatha, and I think that's what made it even better, right? It wasn't
Hmm.
like each of her time traveling moments were like perfect things where she was like where she was able to give them pieces of the whole story. It was like
Hmm.
jumbled up, but then we see why it was jumbled, and the fact
Hmm.
that she's been in control this whole time. She's just been, so will I say, doubting herself or preventing
Hmm.
herself. It's weird because Lily has been super, super pivotal to this show, right? From being
Hmm.
one, the first to meet Billy, putting the sigil on him in order to keep others from coming after him, right? Essentially, until he was ready
Hmm.
to face them. I'm like, is this the hero of the show? Because yes, it's a villain story, right? That Agatha, who sucks, we all know, but Lilia for sure. Even when they got transformed, right?
Hmm.
Her outfit was
The Good Witch.
the good witch, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I really could just focusing on the like time travel aspect. I loved how the finale got her having a slice of time with her grandma again, right?
Hmm.
After she died, she's ended up at the beginning once more. I thought it was literally hands down the best trial for this show, the most far-reaching, the most impactful, right, as well. And just like again, the editing was crazy,
Oh, the
crazy. Just
edits were
because
so good.
I'm yeah, like at moments I was like, wait, where am I?
The transitions, like
Oh,
the one time
fantastic!
when she's talking to the old witch, and she looks into the tea leaves, and we zoom into the tea
Yeah,
leaves, and then we end up in the cave. I was just like,
It's just like,
whoa.
and it almost like helps you understand more of like why like people that have this power, in these kind of
Hmm.
IPs or her herself are so stressed by it because it's like you can't actually trust your mind because you're like I don't know what's happening right now, right? But no, the chef's kiss for me was when she took care of the Salem 7 when she flipped her card
Oh my
and the
god,
room just turned and they all
that
fell into
was
the sword. I was like, oh damn, girl. That's the way to go. That's what's up. No,
that was a
shout out
great visual
Lilia.
effect. Great visual effect.
Hmm.
I think this show has been doing a great job with its limited budget, and I think sometimes when you're
Yeah.
limited, that's when creativity shines. And I think I think there's only one time where I was a bit with visual effects, and even then, that's when they were
When was that?
flying past the moon. Like,
Oh, you yeah, like a couple episodes. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's a little bit of green screen,
Look like they were
and
in
it,
the in the mall, the train that goes
yeah,
around the mall.
yeah, yeah.
Jokes,
But I feel like
jokes.
that's
But
the
yeah,
only time. But most of the time, the visual
hmm,
effects have looked good because it's been sparing,
yeah,
right? Like even
yeah.
when the seven come, they use real animals to kind of represent the seven. Real animals walk, and it kind of
Hmm.
gives it more of a tangible feel to them as opposed to
Feel.
CGI creatures. Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. I
Don't
liked.
nitpick. Those 7 suck. Sorry, they're just so like the
Well,
scene where they walked past where Lily and Jen were hiding. I was like, come on, they're they're right there. Can you just can you use your powers for something good? Jeez, but I guess
well,
they're
with the
not good
seven.
people.
Well, let's go to that. That was when in the spoiler free segment I mentioned about disappointment.
Mhm.
I did like again. I love their movements and the way their body contours. It's scary and their visual design.
Yeah,
And even as silly as that moment was, even the way they were walking, it's almost like they were arched backwards, moving forwards. There's a
yeah.
weird
Mhm.
contortionist thing to them.
Mhm.
I just think, and as cool as how Lilia took them out, I felt like we took them out before they were really a threat. if they are
Like
indeed
they never
taken out.
did anything.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah, yeah. They were
It's
just
like
more of the
creepy.
yeah, creepy, and the aura of them and the threat of them, sure. But we never really got to like really see them do anything. And I think it was a bit
Yeah,
anticlimactic with them. If I'm gonna throw a nitpick, and again, that's assuming we don't see them again, because it seemed like this was very much a finale. Either this was a finale for them, or at the very least, I hope Lilia was just slowing them down so that we see them again.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a severe slowdown. Maybe they amalgamate into one evil spirit. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I,
So maybe something along
I
those
think
lines.
she took him out.
But yeah, but it felt like she was taking them out, fully. Like
Mhm.
that's it. We're not going to see them again. Which again,
Yeah.
I wish we saw more of. But yeah, going back to Lily and her travel, I thought, you know, like you said, I think the way it was presented to us as the audience, it was so well done because we are going through Lilia's point of view, and so we get
Hmm.
that kind of a weird, what's what I'm looking for? She's not quite sure, her orientation to time is different. She's not quite sure where she is.
Yeah.
She's been fighting against this, is trying to figure these things out. And what I like about her personal journey is that she's of a journey of, I've lost everything. I'm older. No one cares about you when you're old. I'm probably going to die, and everyone hates me, and I'm terrible. And this episode really showcases to her that, well, one, I liked when her teacher grandma says to her, you're not supposed to do anything about it. You're supposed to watch. You don't
Yeah.
observe. And then when she finds out, when she's like, oh, I'm going to die, she sees her death. The grandma's like, what are you gonna do with the time you have left?
Yeah. Exactly.
and
Like
and I love that.
stop focus. Stop fixating.
Yes, exactly. Observe. Just observe it. You can do a lot by
Mhm.
observing. Just because you can't stop certain things, you can
Mhm.
alter certain things. And it's when she has that realization, like, oh, okay, this is what I can do, and it accepts her fate.
Mhm.
Because it's almost like she was running away from
Mhm.
her fate as well. Because
Mhm.
she was scared of death, and Grandma was like, "It comes for us all." Yeah, like
Yeah.
may not.
Yeah.
Okay, just because it's coming for you
Mm.
doesn't mean you can't do
Yeah.
things between now and then.
Exactly.
Which I love that message. And I think again, going in terms of the trials, you really I love this one best because you really go with her on this journey. It felt
Mm.
so personal for her, for us to view her as the audience.
Yeah.
Um, what I liked in this episode is also her relationship with Jen. I thought they did a really good job of the two of them, where because she keeps flashing back and forward between her and Jen in that cave.
The
What I
tunnels.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, what I liked is that it at first establishes it as a antagonistic relationship where they're gonna
Mhm.
bicker, but the Jen's like, no, 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 for real, tell me. Jen is like
Yeah.
open, and I like
Yeah.
how that kind of builds between the two of them, where Jen is like will fill in the gaps for her. I did like when she's like at the beginning when she's like, 5 minutes ago, Lilia would never be said that to me.
Yeah, yeah. I actually wrote that down.
But
But you're right.
what?
I love how she just rolls with it because
Yeah, yeah.
it's a complex and weird thing. But it's there's none of that like, Lily, why are you being weird? It's just more like, all right, I will be your company secretary and write down the
Mhm.
minutes of
Mhm.
everything you're saying.
Right, right. He's like, "How
Mm.
do you know? Because you told me." Oh,
You're
okay.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the moments between the two of them, and also we get moments between Agatha and Teen. Oh, I
Teen.
liked, I liked when Lily was like, "Come here, teenager." Oh, she knows this full name.
Teenager. Yeah. Because I thought it too when she said teenager. I was like, ah, mama's mad. That's so funny.
Damn,
So
using
you're
his
right.
full name.
Those are the comic elements you mentioned, right? I think
Yeah, yeah.
it's really spun in well to this show. I honestly feel like yeah, not I don't want to put down the previous trials, but this one just felt like I wish some of the rest had this level of effort put in. I don't know. Maybe I'm.
No, I
Maybe these things happen. Maybe it was a building block. Maybe, like I said, if it was a binge, it would be different. But it just felt like some other story elements were not handled as beautifully as Lilia's.
mhm.
Even if I guess she's kind of like a very pivotal person, clearly for this entire thing. But that was just like kind of a random. comment nitpick because this just felt so complete for Lilia as a story. This could have been Lilia all along, and this was the finale of the season, and
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, I'd be like, oh, that was a great show.
yeah, yeah. No, I think you have a point though, because this episode we get another death of one of the coven, which is Lilia,
Mhm.
and I felt as sad as it was, her story felt complete,
Yeah,
right? Whereas I
like
feel like, and I'm not sure if this is by design, but I feel like obviously she's still around. Jen,
mhm.
we still have so much more to know about her. And will we know more?
Yeah,
We only have 2 episodes left, in terms of her past, how she lost her powers, was taken away from her. And
yeah,
then more so, I felt like Ali died before we could really connect with her.
yeah.
So when you look at how Ali dies and how Lilia dies, you almost like, damn, they did Ali a disservice.
A little bit, right? It's just like I
I was just
didn't
like,
get
damn,
enough time.
like, do they care about you as much?
Mm,
you know, because again, like you said, there is no with both. Again, Jen's story still going, but I'm talking about we've had their trials, even to the
Yeah.
extent Agatha's trial. There was something. It always felt like something wasn't complete.
Yeah, with Agatha, there wasn't like a closure feel
Yes.
for her, right? It was more like they just escaped, which maybe that's the point. Maybe like it's not. I guess it's nice to discuss these things, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't always have to go a certain way, but I think this episode just stands out in comparison to the others, right? Because like you
Mhm.
said, I saw her falling at the end, and I was like on my feet applauding her efforts, right? And maybe I should just be happy for Lilia and leave the others.
Well, yeah, sometimes we ask all these questions and we sometimes get answers and sometimes we don't,
Mhm.
which is what I love at the
It is what it
beginning,
is.
which is clearly the writers talking to the audience using a teen slash Billy as audience surrogate. So let me ask some
Mhm.
questions. Is one of Maxine's dead?
So Wanda,
I love
and
when
I
it's
love
like this because
Agatha for messing with them.
yes, no, maybe. I don't
Maybe,
know. It's almost like for a
but is
split
she
second,
lying?
well, for a split second, I thought she looked at the camera.
Uh,
Like
She
she's like,
like
maybe,
the office.
right, right. Because she
But
even says
is
she
she
saw the
lying? She
dead
said she
body.
saw Wanda's body. Yeah, exactly. Of course. I
I
mean, I was just
mean,
like, wait,
technically, if she counts
what dead
episode
body?
one,
Yeah, but like, is she? Isn't she being cheeky? Okay, fine.
because
She's
she
not
wasn't,
lying, but she's definitely. She did not see
because she wasn't there,
the
as far as we
last
know.
body. She wasn't. I mean, that would be a fun Easter egg if they somehow show her in like binoculars watching. Like that even makes sense. But wasn't she under the hex? No, wait. Where was
She
she
was
at
still
that?
under the hex.
She
Yeah,
would
she was still,
she would still
yeah,
been under the hex because she was trapped in there. So
yeah.
I was just like, maybe she. I guess another thing I like when I watch Agatha is remembering that like most things she says, like I literally need to fact check. This is
Yes,
like your
yes.
lesson, everyone. If you use AI as well, try to fact check. Right, we've lost the art of checking sources because Agatha says anything, right? Because yeah, she saw the body, but not the body,
Yeah, she
right?
saw a body, and what's truth to Agatha is relative, right? Because we
Hmm.
don't know since leaving the hex if her memories, what she remembers, is true or not. Can she tell the difference,
Yeah,
right? Because what she
she
thought was
probably can.
what she thought was a gun was a hose. You know, does she now remember that it was a hose, or does she remember she had a
Yeah,
gun? How does that work? Which I find
that's a good point.
I love Agatha in this episode when she was dressed up as as the witch, the Wicked Witch of the West. She's like,
The
she's
Green Witch
based on
says
me,
she's based after me.
Just I love her movements, just like she's posing
She's
all the time.
she's so fun, so funny because she once again a lie because she's
Yeah.
not based on her. It's just
And well,
like
actually, while you get Teen
extra.
questioning her, when Teen is like, I'm starting to question whether you did go on the road or not. I was like,
Hmm.
finally, someone's asking it.
And you've addressed the elephant in this podcast from me because surely you must have heard this theory by now that this is all inside Billy's head.
Oh, yes, yes. In terms of, we've spoken
I,
about the trial doesn't start till Billy picks up the cards.
that
Did you notice that?
that and it's his name is Emergency Awesome. This YouTuber, I'm sorry, he went in deep and he changed my entire view. Because if you, and I haven't done it, but if you go back and you watch previous episodes with the thought to yourself that it's inside Billy's head, it starts off with when they run into the road. The
Mhm.
door wasn't open till he got there, right? In
Mm.
Agatha's house, right? The light was blue, like his blue powers, The little control he's had, he's helped him in every trial. You know, he saw the shapes of the moon, all these kind of little things. Like he's always been pivotal. And then most of all for me was he said, "I wish Lilia was here," and then Lilia was there.
Yeah,
That's when I was
yeah,
like, ah.
yeah.
I was like, wait, wait, wait. This is very Wanda like.
Yeah.
So that would be an amazing twist for me, and I'm almost hoping they go down that road next week. I saw that theory, and like it changed how I see everything now. Because yeah, even with the tarot cards, everything, it's just like depending on Billy's mood, it affects what's going on. And you know, in his room, he had Wizard of Oz posters, and yeah, they are dressed as Wizard of Oz characters, and Snow White and like it's just I'm praying. This is why I said nervous in the opener. By the way, I really hope that they did not get me this excited to fumble the last episode because we
Yes.
have seen this before, Secret Invasion,
Yes.
and
Though
I
to be
I
fair, I would say Secret Invasion fumbled it by like episode 3. We were just hoping they'd
yes,
get
of
back up
course,
again.
but it just like it like it cemented the fumble, right? So not the same, but maybe this would be worse because you can't have got into here and not end with like I don't even mind if some questions aren't answered. Like you said, I don't think we can delve into all of Jen's life and the conclusion to this story in maybe I don't know. Do we know the runtime for this double
No idea.
episode? What would it?
No idea.
I
Collectively, I
guess,
hope
but
it's 2
that's
hours
probably like an
collectively,
hour, yeah,
but it's probably an
right?
hour
Ideally,
total. Yeah.
an hour, which is not a short time, but it's not a lot of time
Mhm.
to because this episode was what less than 30,
Mhm. It was,
like the
yeah, about
actual
30.
runtime.
Yeah, 30
And
without
I
credits.
think I saw 33, yeah, and
Yeah.
credits are like 3 or something. So you know, it would have to be a stroke of genius writing and directing and filming, I think, to put enough like chapter conclusions in the end, and also leave us wanting more. Because I also don't know what the future of this show is or
Mhm.
this IP. Season twos aren't very popular for for these kind of things, but who knows? It's a new world, so I'm very trepidatious. Like I'm nervously optimistic on all the things they can do right and wrong.
Mhm. I hear you.
So yeah,
Uh,
don't fumble.
one of the revelations we got in the show that was somewhat spoiled from before, as a toy reveal, and we've kind of been mentioning it, but outside of last week's episode, I think I bleeped every time you mentioned it. But we got the confirmation, the worst kept secret that Rio is indeed
Rio.
dead. What did you think of a revelation as death?
I was like, yeah. I'm like,
Tell
if
me
you've
something
been
I
listening to
didn't
this
know.
previous podcast, as all of you wonderful listeners have been listening, you would know that we knew. But was it still a fun reveal? Yeah, I think it was pretty fun. I think happy to see Death in the MCU.
Do you think we're
Like
gonna get
actually.
full on like Marvel Comics version of death, or is this like just a different type of version?
It would be weird because Thanos, like, I mean, I guess Thanos is. What I would like is if they bring her and Deadpool in together, because that is also comic accurate, right?
Yes, yes.
Deadpool is once got death to more or less ignore Thanos for him, right?
Well, Thanos gets
Don't quote
jealous.
me on timelines. Yeah, he does, which is so. I just this is why I love the comics. Like, imagine Thanos being jealous of Deadpool. It's
From what I
very like
remember, I feel like
accurate.
I feel like Thanos gets jealous and does something to make sure Deadpool becomes immortal, so then Deadpool can never be with death. Something like that. That's
Just
comics for you.
it's so like that it's so fantastically like I don't know, sad but not at the same time. So I think Rio is a great actress. Herself, shout out her in Parks and Rec.
Yes,
So
yes.
I enjoyed the portrayals of everything she did. I remember every scene that there's been chaos and she's just
Mhm,
there like having a good time. And we
mhm.
haven't seen her in the past two episodes, right? She's probably there munching
Because she's
on
got bodies
Alice's
to deal
body.
with. Yeah, she has. And now,
They're
now she has
munching on
Lilia's
corpses.
body.
Yeah.
She's had
Um,
Lilia, Alice, and Sharon.
which is three, right? And
Right, right.
it's funny because it made me think. Comments make you crazy. I was like, I'm not thinking about the time, like 30 minutes. How how long does she take to gobble a body? Does she have like, does she have it down to like 6 minutes? Is it like three? Like, are we gonna
Does
see
she
her later today, or is she
does she have to
done?
do some prep time?
Yeah,
Uh,
like they should have a cleanup crew. Like, what did they do with they separated the soul from the bones from the butt? Like,
right,
how
sacrificial
does this work?
ceremony.
um,
You have to make it
and
kosher.
another, another what is it? Outlandish guess, right? Because again, reading Reddit, man, will get you confused. There is a theory too that one, if we are inside Billy's head, one, two, none of the people that died have actually died.
Oh no, I wouldn't want that because then it just
And I feel like that is impossible.
yeah, I feel like that because then it just makes it a cop out. Then everything we saw in this
Mm,
episode was for nothing. I don't want that. Even if we get some
I know
characters
that.
come back, I don't want Lilia to come back. I think I could
Lillian,
accept
no.
Alice. I could accept Alice. Ali coming
Alice,
back.
maybe.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
Sure, even Sharon, I could expect, but Lillian, no. I think there's just so much power to her death
Lillian's gone. Mm,
that
she's
you
gone,
can't
girl.
bring her back. Would kind of like just make that feel useless, and I wouldn't want that. Um, some fun moments. There was lots of fun moments. Like I said, there's one I liked when um, Billy and there. You know, it's interesting. He asked when Lily asked him to ask the question. His question is, "Am I Billy or my
William.
William?"
William.
And it's interesting because you think at this point he knows who he is, but apparently he still doesn't. So I'm not quite sure. So like, do we still
It's
keep
like
calling him Billy or not? He's not quite sure who
it's,
he is, which maybe it might
it's
end up
like
that he's both.
it's like giving Jean Grey.
Yeah, oh yeah, true, true.
And like but I also think it's cool that they address that. And like I again, I've never had my mind shared with another,
Yeah.
except for the others I share my mind with. But I would assume it's not like oh, this is where your memories end.
Yes, yes, yes.
This
It's
from
just
here on, like your brain's gonna be like, listen, everybody's in here right now. Here's the tea. This is family. Thanks.
but
So like I wonder if they're gonna address that though, and just help. I assume this season is gonna end with him being Billy Kaplan, right? Like that's his truth is going to be that he is both people, right?
yeah,
That's basically what
so
he is, an
yeah,
amalgamation of them.
because again, even in this episode, because and again, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it seems like because he spent this whole time, these 3 years, as in William's life, so to speak, right?
Hmm.
In William's family, because he even says when Wanda's brought up, he's like, "That's not my mother. She's not my
Yeah,
mother."
I was like, rude,
It's like, oh,
but also fair. I mean,
but then that means it's almost implied that he's siding William more, right? Then
because William had
William's
more
side
years
is more
in the
dominant.
body, right?
Yeah,
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 and
exactly.
even Billy was even a younger child as of when
Yeah.
WandaVision ended. So even if they both, like, let's say you add up both their years, it still feels like William is the older
Hmm.
older existence, right? So I don't know. I guess seeing it that way kind of makes sense, but
Hmm.
I like how they're addressing it. I think
Yes, I
it's a
do.
nice way to explore, and
Hmm.
it feels in line with what I would almost assume would be the case.
Hmm. And it might imply that even though it was seen as William died, maybe parts of William still survived enough. He's not completely
Yeah,
erased. It wasn't completely erased, like you spoke about last time with
'cause
the computer analogy.
I was just gonna say that.
One moment I like between Billy and Agatha is when they go and do the tarot cards, and then he's like, "The horse-drawn car," and she's like, "The chariot." It's
The
literally on the
chariot is
cards.
literally on the car. Oh no, their banter was super good.
So good. I love their back
Mm,
and forth.
and even then Agatha, because she was like, it's all made up. She's like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And she's just there dropping cards. And you're like, ma'am,
she's
can you respect the sanctity of this? She's like,
she's
no.
so impatient because even later on when Lily was doing the cards, she's like, "Hurry up, put the cards down."
And yeah, it's like
But I find it interesting that
so
you
on
have all these
brand.
witches, and we got this previous episode where you have all these witches, and I guess it alludes to the fact that witchcraft and the whole world is so broad that even if you
Mhm.
are a witch, there are parts of witchcraft where you're like, "Psh, that's made up nonsense."
Yeah, I think that was isn't because this is the episode about the stereotypes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
you can say the theme of this and the theme of Lilia has been breaking the stereotypes,
Hmm.
and I think that that's part of it. It's also, again, it speaks a lot of things in life, like people who do one thing and they find another thing completely silly.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the reverse is the case, and it just always
Yeah,
sounds crazy how you can like stand so high on your soapbox and be like,
yeah.
no, mine is not crazy, and it's like, I mean, they're all crazy, okay.
Right, right. So I thought that was good. Also, I loved the moment, and I love this back and forth moment where early in the episode you have Agatha say to Billy, "You're gonna get a nosebleed trying to read my mind," which I think is a great
Mhm,
line. And then later on, he's just so effortlessly reading Lily's mind because she's shouting so loud.
mhm,
I loved how
yeah,
the acting of that scene was so perfect because I felt like
mm,
there was a conversation that we were only hearing half of. I thought that was pretty well
mm,
done. I thought that was really well done. I was like, because it took me a second. I was like,
it's
"Wait,
interesting.
she's not speaking."
Mhm. Yeah. No, I didn't get it immediately, but and it was definitely that like light bulb moment too, like, oh shit, he's reading the mind. But sorry, because you mentioned that fact, because again, I did it's only research that lets me know these things. But Billy couldn't read Agatha's mind back in One Division either, right?
Yes, yes.
There was a scene where he said something to her like, "Oh, I like you because your mind is silent or something,
Yeah,
or your
yeah,
inside is silent." Feel free to
yeah,
look it up,
yeah.
fans. So it's funny because yeah, so is Agatha like blocking? Does she have like force repel
I mean,
on
she seems to she
her Jedi mind tricks? Is she the Jedi?
and she seems to be aware if you're trying, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
right.
one thing of like blocking, but how can you be aware of someone trying to read your mind?
Like real time. Like that's that's impressive. Sorry,
Right,
it's like an always on mental scanner.
right, right. Malware detector.
Yeah. And again, so on brand for Agatha, right? Like
Right.
just she's so silly, but because she actually is like super powerful, like she I feel like that's always it's almost never like forgotten, but I always remind myself that like no, she's actually really scary, even
Yeah.
amongst all these which is she's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Like
100%.
of course, what did she say about Rio? She was like, I like bad boys.
Yeah.
It's just like, ma'am, that is death.
I know, right? That literally, not
Like
even figurative.
the
And
death.
and I didn't realize that in law, which law the original Green Witch is death.
Greenwich.
And she's like the Green Witch. He even says it in the first episode, in the
Mhm,
second episode, I
mhm,
believe.
mhm. With the voice, the T-Pain voice and everything.
Right. I liked when Agatha says to William when he's asking the questions, he's like, "You want straight answers? Ask a straight lady."
He had another queer joke. Oh, I forgot it. Damn it.
Oh no, because
I forgot
it
to write
was like a
that down.
word query or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Oh, damn it.
Querent,
I was
the
meant to write it
querent,
down.
yeah,
It's,
querent.
it's,
And
I always stand out.
and
Go.
then one of them laughs like like a silly laugh, like like
Yeah.
idiot.
It's like no, it's actually so good. Well, I will have to agree with you. If this show was a binge, I would have rated it higher in previous episodes, right?
Yes.
Because the feeling after this episode has been like, oh, where has this been, or or why hasn't it been? Because there's been elements of the things in this episode, not that they haven't been, but this one just really kind of brought everything home in a sense. Or like they hit that sweet spot.
Mhm, mhm. And again, they're probably writing this understanding context, but I think sometimes
Mhm.
when you're creating these shows, I always wonder, while you're creating it, are you thinking
Yeah,
about the fact that people will have week-long gaps in between to really think
yeah,
about it versus people going to watch it straight away? I don't know because I don't know when these decisions are made. Are they made after the fact or during? Right. And I felt like because we had time to think about certain things, we start to nitpick at the things that are missing. And like you
yeah.
said, which would cause people not like us, but people because we're in it from the beginning. But some people I can understand why people felt, I fell off after 3 episodes.
Hmm.
Right. Rather than hold because you're not giving people reasons to hold on outside of people
Yeah,
like us who are like super nerds, like the average watcher to kind of because the average watcher
yeah.
doesn't have patience. It's just the fact of the time we live in.
No,
Right? Most people don't
sad
have the
but true.
patience. It's unfortunate. And I just think this would like don't get me wrong, I like week to week shows because it gives us opportunities like this to discuss the episodes and go in.
Hmm.
But I think there's something to be said about the recognition it would have received as a binge. I think it would have had more people
Hmm.
talking about it. Yeah, as because I feel like people will talk about the finale. I think that would be a big thing,
Yeah.
and people would now start going back and, oh shit, I've got
Mhm.
to I've got to watch and see what happened.
Yeah, exactly. It'll become like a watching backwards to catch
Yeah.
up, as opposed to like I feel like just to compare, like Penguin is almost doing a slightly better job of
Yes.
like having maybe because it's longer. Like longer also helped, but like each episode has felt like kind of like pushing every all the energy forward. Right? It's
Yes.
like
Yes.
okay, we're ramping up together type of where
Hmm.
this definitely took like a roller coaster like dip and then came back up, and it just has to be said, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
Personal feelings.
Talk about stereotypes. I loved when Lilias is like offended by what they're wearing, and then Jen is like, "We can be culturally
Jen is
offended
like,
later."
yeah, Jen stands up, stands well.
Or even when they come to the crossroads and Jen sees like, "Oh, is that the exit?" And then Lilia's like, "Yes, but I'm gonna go and help the others. I hope you'll join me." Jen's like, "Why?"
Why? She's in you're my sister in craft,
But it's just,
but
in
the why was so real.
it was so real
It
because in
was
these
really
narratives,
like,
it's always like, "Yes, I shall follow you straight away." It was just like, "Well, why? The exit's right there."
yeah,
Like,
like she took a moment to think. Like she actually was like, okay, okay,
okay,
okay,
let me give
okay,
you a reason.
okay.
Can I think of a reason why?
But then just again, let's touch on that a little bit more. So, do you think that was actually the exit?
I think so. I think if you look at the nature of where they are, it's a trial, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes trials going to give you options to like fail,
yeah,
and I think that's like a fail. Do you want to? You can leave, but that means you fail,
yeah,
or you keep
yeah,
going, but you might, especially for someone like Lilia, where this is opportunity for her to not die, possibly. But what are the
yeah.
ramifications of that? You have to kind of, like we like her mentor said, you can't fight the inevitable. You have to
Mhm.
face it. And again, it's what you do with that knowledge as opposed to trying to run away from it.
Running from
Right,
it.
right. And this is her moment of realizing that, let me not run from it. Let me, even though I know what's going to happen, even though I know where it leads, this road leads. She even says, "I'm
Mm-hmm.
almost at the end," and Jen mistakenly thinks it's the end of the road,
The
not
end of the road, and
end of her road.
well, it's like kinda.
Kind of my road,
oh
not our road.
my gosh.
So I did like that moment of that crossroads of this is the moment of,
Mhm.
it's literally fork in the road, right? That decision point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
right. Um, I liked when Agatha's talking. I don't, again, they love messing with the audience when Agatha's talking to Billy, uh, telling him to ask questions. She was like, "I'm your mom's ex best friend."
Yeah,
That pause
like
after X.
yeah. It's like it's both cheeky.
I think that is it. Yeah, I really like this episode a lot. I love the flow of time is an illusion kind of feeling
Mhm.
of it all. I thought that was really, really great. The POV access to seeing how Lilia sees the world, and Lilia kind of
Yeah, it's
worried that,
awesome.
and I love the idea that Lilia worries that everyone sees her as crazy, but then through Jen realizes that that if you can have people that help you make sense of it, and you can make sense to them.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really well done. Like we spoke about how this isn't a show about a whole bunch of sisters coming together for the love, but we do
Mhm.
get moments of,
However,
yeah,
mhm.
we do get
S-
moments of connection, but it's not this kind
mm,
of like free love, everyone loves each other, hugs and kisses connection. But
yeah,
it's still a connection, like these are my sisters. She mentions in the coven and mentions leading a coven, but it's not like let's sit around the fire, hold hands, sing kumbaya.
yeah. It's
Stop.
not forced. It's not unrealistic, but it's very real and very like authentic
Hmm.
growth. And I actually did like that. That yeah,
Hmm.
she realizes that she needed the coven
Hmm.
as well. You can't really. I think it honestly makes sense for life too, right? You can't really exist in a silo. I mean,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
can, but like that's not living.
You'd be
You're just
miserable.
yeah, and complaining. Whereas your life might go shorter, but might be fuller if you embrace others. So
It's what you see at the
it
time.
was nice to see Lilia, yeah, kind of coming to that. And like I said, shout out to her again for being the one that put that sigil on Billy William.
Hmm.
All that time ago. I
Hmm.
mean, she says it was for a good reason, and I do believe it as well because at least he got to be protected
Hmm.
and have even more of a life up until now. So
Hmm.
yeah, just great stuff from her.
At first, my nerd nitpicking brain was like, "Wait a minute, you said the sigil also makes the person who gives it forget," and I was ready to
Yeah,
to get my pitchfork out. And then I remembered, wait, but the
then he
sigil's
broke it.
broken. So if it's
Yeah,
broken, the memories must come back. Duh.
yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's gone
It's like
forever.
put
You know.
puts pitchfork down. It's
Okay,
like
fine. Put
like
it
so.
down. I'll leave it to the side.
Just keep it nearby though. Like I said, I don't know why I'm so nervous about this last episode. I'm gonna choose to believe. I'm gonna choose to have faith. I'm just like don't because okay, I guess let me say it like this. We have the reveal of Billy. We I thought the Salem Seven were going to be the final boss. Maybe still again. But it would almost dilute Lilia's sacrifice if they make it
Mhm.
out
So then
by
who?
next episode.
So then who's the final boss?
That's the question. Is
Is it
it
Rio?
death? Because
Yeah, is it Rio?
Rio is oh haha. But again, Rio isn't. Let's see, because she might be chasing death because Billy William died, right? And she was just about to take the body, and then next thing you know, the body goes back, and she's
Mhm.
like, sorry."
It's like, bullshit.
So that, yeah, that would be fun for her to be like, all right, Billy William, it's time. And I could see Agatha, siding with Billy against Rio in
Mm,
that scene. So that would be fun. That would be a fun exploration to kind
mhm,
of see who does Agatha pick, how does she decide? Does
mm.
she help Rio take Billy out and get his powers? Because again, this is not a this is not a hero. What is Agatha's play at the end
She
of the
just wants her
road,
powers.
if there is an end of the road, right? So yeah, I think it's almost perfectly poised, and I truly hope that it will conclude, and I will feel excited and almost begging for a season two, or just happy that they've set some things in motion. Because again, we have his bro. He has he's looking for his brother. There's so much.
Anyway, I think that's all we have. What do you nerds think of this show? What do you think of this episode? Are you feeling a lot better about the show? How do you feel about expectations for the 2 episode finale next week? Just perfectly timed for Halloween. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
My name's English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch presentation of Something to Marvel About, where we spoke about Agatha all along, episode 7. Next week is going to be the finale all along. We'll see what happens. And as always, Andrew,
Keep it nerdy.
peace.